Welcome to the media platform of Restore Nigeria Network. Today, I want to take us on a trip down memory lane and into history to look at the correlation between national unity and the social and economic development of our country. Really, nothing mystifies citizens and foreigners alike as to why nothing seems to ever work in Nigeria, a large, resource-endowed country with a huge population of educated and very talented people, but which today is known as the poverty capital of the world. Indeed, every sector and section of our national economy and life are at various levels of decadence, decay, and dysfunction. Why this is so is what keeps many people thinking all day long, scratching their heads, and awake all night long, staring at the ceiling. Many reasons have been profiled to explain all the chaos, the dysfunction and decay in the Nigerian society. Some blame the endemic corruption. Others blame the unfortunate trend of unpatriotic leadership that have been foisted on the country, while others say the country is just too large to manage efficiently as one single entity. All of this could be true. However, it is also true that from the Lugadian days and from his amalgamation of the northern and southern Niger Protectorate, which created the country we now call Nigeria, the nation-building project to form a cohesive nation-state has not been a rousing success at all by any stretch of the imagination. If we should look at this, it is seen that the more we disagree and distrust one another, the more the pace of the social and economic development of the country slows down and progressively deteriorates. As the saying goes, a house divided against itself cannot stand. This is why, now that the country is at a period in which we have never been more divided and distrustful of each other, it is not surprising at all that we are also at a crisis point in terms of social peace, national security, and the economic well-being of the country. Factually, chaos and dysfunction is the order of the day everywhere across the country. And that is why it is hardly possible to expect any positive social change or successful economic progress in the absence of a framework of improved national unity. And this is exactly the crux of the matter for the Nigerian situation. Our increasing disunity and the consequent progressive collapse of the Nigerian state is a matter that goes beyond an unpatriotic and corrupt ruling elite alone, but borders largely on the main driving motivation of the governing structures and the establishment that have administered and run this country right from the Lugadian days to today. With regard to this, if we look around the world today, we will see that apart from a handful of aberrant military juntas and dynastic monarchies here and there, where general kings and queens still rule as supreme lords, virtually every other country is a multi or single party, liberal or illiberal democracy, with a political party at the helm as the governing structure that administers and runs the country. What this means is that it is the political party that sets the trajectory and pace of social and economic growth and progress in the majority of the countries around the world. And they do so in accordance to their formative and governing rules. That is the manifesto or constitution of the party. This is where the disunity and the resultant social and economic disjunction and dysfunction of the Nigerian state and society can be explained. This is because at independence and right from the very beginning, none of the dominant political parties of the post-independent First Republic of the 1960s, parties like the Action Group AG, the Northern People's Congress NPC, the National Council for Nigeria and Cameroon NCNC, and the Northern Elements Progressive Union NEPU, was overly interested in seeing the country as a wholly functional or single entity, but were mainly interested in the affairs of their ethnic, tribal, and cultural enclaves where they held forth. None of these parties could be considered as pan-Nigerian national parties in any way. Rather, they were basically one-man-led cultish platforms that were entrenched in their regional enclaves, and their leaders, Sadana Ahmadu Bello of NPC, Obafemi Awolowo of Action Group, Nnamdi Azikiwe of NCNC, and Aminu Kano of NEPU, were huge, larger-than-life idols who were dressed in mythical robes of the messiahs of their tribes and who were revered and hero worshipped by their regional followers. These great men guarded their hegemonic dominance of their domains jealously, and they played the politics of tribe, region, and religion. That is called TRR politics. For these leaders, politics was all about ensuring the supremacy of their tribe, region, and religion. Therefore, they treated other parts of the country as foreign lands and considered other Nigerians who were from outside their regions as no better than aliens. With their brand of TRR politics as the template, national unity was never a priority under the NPC-led government of the First Republic. Hence, the different regions of the country operated on the basis of an unhealthy, destructive competition rather than a constructive one. Naturally, in the absence of unity, distrust, dysfunction, and chaos reigned. And this is exactly what invited the military coup that ended the First Republic and which set off the chain of military coup and counter coups that followed and stunted the social advancement and economic progress of the country. When in 1978, the Olusegun Obasanjo-led military junta decided to return the country to civilian rule, General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, who was the Chief of Staff Supreme Headquarters and who was the de facto second-in-command in that government, was put in charge of the project and was mandated to supervise the Return to Democracy program. Shehu Yar'Adua understood that lack of unity, which itself was driven by the quest for ethnic, tribal, and religious superiority, were the root cause of the failure and collapse of the First Republic. With the platform now provided him by his military colleagues, Yar'Adua committed himself to ensure that this time around, ensuring the unity of the country would be the guiding principle and the manifesto of the party the military will hand over power to. This is why General Yar'Adua was horrified when the political parties that registered to take part in the 1979 elections were absolutely the reincarnated embodiment of the very same parties that brought down the First Republic, with the same idolized leaders reimagined, all of them dressed up yet again in their messianic robes and togas of old. Nepu was reincarnated as PRP, with Aminu Kano still parading around as the redeemer of the Talakawas of the Kano heartlands. Action Group was reincarnated as UPN, with the same Obafemi Awolowo still posturing as the guardian sage of the Oduduwa nation. And NCNC was reborn as MPP, with the same Nnamdi Azikiwe going around pontificating as the all-knowing exceptionalist from the East. Yar'Adua was not amused at all with these resurrected regional idols entering into the political field, and he was certain that had Sardauna Ahmadu Bello been alive, he would have surely have resurrected NPC, and he could have very well named it as APC, that is Arewa People's Congress, with himself at the head as the supreme protector of northern hegemony. With the re-emergence of these actors leading these platforms that were factually regional parties with provincial outlooks and tribal proclivities, Shehu knew that a replay of the destructive TRR politics of tribe, region, and religion that brought about the chaotic disunity that doomed the First Republic was incoming again. Shehu Musa, a man I personally consider to be Nigeria's most consummated political strategist, party builder, and Nigeria's greatest nationalist, then set the process to move the country along another direction and trajectory by ensuring that the transition program he was put in charge of would lead to the emergence of a pan-Nigerian party which will serve the purpose of building national cohesion and national unity. Yar'Adua, the silent master strategist that he was, went to work, and he used the platform of the Constituent Assembly gathering of 1978 as a recruitment ground to discover a new breed of politicians, people who believe in a shared collegial leadership rather than the cultish idolization and worship of tribal messiahs. He brought these people together, organized meetings between them, convinced them to share in his vision, and then co-opted them into his pan-Nigerian bridge-building project. Musa Yar'Adua then provided the logistics, the financial enablement, and the behind-the-scenes state support as he tactfully piloted the project that ensured the emergence of the first of its kind pan-Nigerian political party, the National Party of Nigeria, NPN. Factually, from its planning stage, the NPN was founded as a party whose membership was national in outlook and uniformly spread across all states of the country, and its leadership was collegial and was not tied to the apron strings of any tribal messiah whose worldview must be accepted or followed by its members. With its membership spread across all states of the country, and with the zoning of offices entrenched in its constitution, it was not surprising at all that NPN scored the highest number of votes and the widest spread of vote cast to beat all the regional and ethno-tribal parties to emerge as the winner of the 1979 presidential election. With this victory, the politics of national unity defeated the politics of tribe, region, and religion, and the combined powers of the politicians of the TRR politics of tribe, region, and religion. Rather unfortunately, the military oligarchs of that time, who were driven by the quest to continue their hegemonic control of the country, were not ready to have a government that was not under their control at the helm of affairs. A government that was fastidiously implementing a zoning system that was based on the building of national unity and was breaking down the walls of tribal dominance and regional hegemony. Fearing the inevitable shift of power to the eastern region, given that the zoning system of NPN has positioned Vice President Alex Ekweme, an Igbo Southeasterner, in a pole position to succeed President Shehu Shagari and to emerge as the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the military oligarchs led by the same General Muhammadu Buhari of today's ethno-regional APC, who were driven by tribal and religious hate and the quest for the eternal dominance of the affairs of this country by their northern region, moved quickly and overthrew the government and terminated the Second Republic and aborted that nascent possibility of an Igbo Southeasterner emerging as a civilian president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Naturally disappointed with the sad turn of events, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, who was now retired from the military, became an irreconcilable civilian critic of the military government, and he went on and organized and funded the relentless pressure that forced the Ibrahim Babangida-led military junta to initiate another return of the country to democratic rule. However, as soon as General Babangida-led junta started the transition program, which led to the still-born Third Republic in 1983, the same age-led politicians of the defunct First and Second Republic yet again began the magical process of reincarnating their old ethno-regional parties to carry on their timeless politics of tribe, region, and religion, also known as TRR politics. But determined and prepared to counteract them, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, who was now a full-fledged civilian political mobilizer, went on a nationwide recruitment drive to fish out urbane and forward-looking people from the nook and crannies of the country. People who believe in a united Nigeria as a basis for sustainable social advancement and economic progress of the country. He located and invited these people to join the party he was building to be a party for all Nigerians. This is how he found and invited relatively unknown people, many of whom had never ever ventured into politics before then. People like Alhaji Musa Gwadabe, Professor Musa Yakubu, Professor Ango Abdullahi, Abu King Shulua, Yomi Edu, Dr. Sharomi, Mrs. Karibi White, Chief Sergeant Awuse, Dele Cole, Dubem Onya, Ojofo Onya, Roland Ovie, John Okpa, Ambassador Yahaya Kwande, Alhaji Lawa Kaita, and even our inimitable Atiku Abubakar were invited to enter politics and to work with him to build a pan-Nigerian political platform which will serve as a vehicle for sustainable nation building on the basis of building national unity. This was how the second truly pan-Nigerian political party, the People's Front, was founded. Along that yet another Yar'Adua founded political behemoth like the defunct MPN, whose operation and unifying ideology the military could not control was coming. The oligarchic military junta then banned the PF and prohibited Yar'Adua from further participating in their transition program. Not surprising, The military concocted SDP and NRC parties that they founded and planted to replace the PF and other civilian-formed parties died as stillborn babies, along with the Third Republic, which died prematurely, taking IBB along into retirement in their dying process. With IBB retired, Yar'Adua, who was apoplectic with the termination of the Third Republic, publicly denounced the shenanigans of the military. Now an unrepentant critic of the oligarchic military, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua funded and coordinated the massive domestic pressure that forced the hands of the Abacha junta to initiate yet another democratic transition process. For doing this, he earned for himself the suicidal title of enemy-in-chief of the Abacha junta. But having become widely recognized as the #1 political mobilizer in the country, Yar'Adua naturally became the center of attention and the rallying point of all politicians during the Constituent Assembly that was set up by the Abacha junta. And he used this platform to recruit like-minded members of the Constituent Assembly, which included many of his PF associates, to form yet another formidable pan-Nigerian political platform, the People's Democratic Movement, whose membership spread around all parts of the country and which was all-encompassing and politically intimidating in its outlook. Sensing that the formation of the PDM marked the death sentence of his sit-tight agenda and his regional hegemonic plans, General Abacha quickly dissolved the Constituent Assembly, arrested and imprisoned Yar'Adua, and finally got him murdered. He then prohibited the PDM from participating in his transition program, and then he bettered two-party IBB by forming his own five political parties, the infamous 5 fingers of the same leprous hand, as the late Bola Ige described them. But like IBB before him, all the rigmaroles of Abacha came to nothing and terminated with his own death and led to yet another military-led transition, this time by General Abdulsalami Abubakar, which led to the birth of the Fourth Republic. With the leader Yar'Adua dead, the PDM reassembled under the leadership of Atiku Abubakar, who, before his sad death, Yar'Adua had personally mandated to ensure the continuation of his lifelong political dream and mission to unify Nigeria and to ensure the completion of the project of founding and building a truly pan-Nigerian political party. A party whose mission would be to counter and defeat the politics of tribe, region, and religion in Nigeria, and to build bridges across the ethnic, cultural, and religious diversities of this country, which is in line with Shehu Musa Yar'Adua's belief that building national unity is the most credible basis for nation building and for achieving sustainable social advancement and economic progress. Atiku remobilized the PDM and expanded it to include members of all the earlier parties that were associated with or were directly or indirectly founded by General Yar'Adua. Parties such as MPN of the Second Republic and the PF and SDP of the stillborn Third Republic. With this expansion, the Atiku Abubakar-led PDM was transformed into the PDP, which also incorporated the collegial leadership and the zoning principles that were adopted and used during the days of the MPN. And it also adopted the goal to be a truly pan-Nigerian political party with the mission to ensure national unity as the basis for building a peaceful, progressive, and prosperous Nigerian nation state. This is the short history of the PDP, a party whose progenitors and ancestors were the MPN, the PF, and the PDM, and whose midwife and grandfather was the inimitable General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, a man who I adjudge to be Nigeria's most visionary politician of all time, a man whose lifelong dream and mission was to see the making of a prosperous and united Nigeria, a man who not only walked his talk, but paid the price for his vision and dreams for Nigeria with his life. Therefore, the formation of the PDP is Yar'Adua's dream finally come true. Indeed, the PDP is the fulfillment of Shehu Musa Yar'Adua's political vision for Nigeria, and the PDP represents Yar'Adua's roadmap for building a united and cohesive Nigerian nation state. Fortunately, in 2015, through a combination of unforced errors and the mountainous propaganda of a conspiratorial tag team that comprised of the hegemonic CPC of Arewa supremacy and the irredentist AC of Afenifere exclusionism. Both of them, the metamorphosed incarnation of the divisive ethno-regional TRR politics of the past, colluded to form the APC, and they tricked and deceived Nigerians to vote the PDP out of power. Today, Nigerians, having experienced the first leg of Team APC and having suffered the full brunt of the disastrous 8 years of Buhari's Team CPC, during which he openly demonstrated that his APC is essentially nothing other than Arewa People's Congress, whose age-long mandate is solely to enthrone Arewa supremacy and to maintain northern hegemonic dominance over the rest of the country. In his 8 years rule, Buhari and his Arewa People's Congress APC has demonstrated to all Nigerians the destructive powers of the TRR politics of tribe, region and religion, which has sowed unprecedented disunity in the country and brought unmanageable social strife and devastating economic pains on all Nigerians. And now, with 2023 just by the corner, the Buharis of APC are in the process to hand over the baton of the tag team to the Bola Tinubu's AC group of the party, a group who, going by their ingrained irredentist antecedent, would demand their pound of flesh by taking revenge on Buhari's group for turning APC into Arewa People's Congress. For doing this, Tinubu and his own group will also run their own version of APC purely as Afenifere People's Congress, with the sole mission to achieve their regional exclusionist tendencies. After all, they are already saying it clearly and loudly that it is Emilokan time. If this is allowed to happen, it will surely be the final sounding of the death knell of the Nigerian project. But it is not only APC that is rapidly metamorphosing into a TRR incarnated party. A look at all the other major contenders in the 2023 election reveals their curious transposition into the ethno-regional parties of our troublesome past. Very curiously, from the northwest, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso's NPP is looking very much a mirror reflection of Aminu Kano's PRP, where Kwankwaso is now the idolized Arewa Messiah, who is riding on the back of the Kwankwasiya movement on an Arewa is born to rule political adventure to nowhere land, just the same way that Aminu Kano rode on the back of the Talakawa movement and took them on merry-go-round political journeys to nowhere land. Similarly, from the southwest, Bola Tinubu is busy transfiguring the APC into Afenifere People's Congress in ways that suggest that a reincarnation of Chief Obafemi Awolowo's UPN is in the offing, complete with all the hero-worshipping, round rim eyeglasses, mystical Masonic cap symbols, Emilokan mentality, and an ingrained regional exclusionist tendencies. And not to be left out, from the southeast, Peter Obi's Labour Party is steadily chameleoning into the NPP of Nnamdi Azikiwe, that exceptional wise sage from the east. With Peter Obi going around posturing as the new Mr. Sabi, and his obedient, that Sabi Sabi movement, is now posturing as the new Zikis movement, upon which Peter Obi is now riding on a pretentious journey to nowhere land. The point I'm trying to make is that Kwankwaso's MPP and his Kwankwasiya movement, Tinubu's APC and his Emilokan movement, Peter Obi's Labour Party and the Sabi Sabi Obedient movement are nothing but the resurrected dead hands of our sad past of the acrimonious politics of disunity, the same destructive TRR politics of tribe, region and religion, which has been clearly demonstrated by the devastating social strife and the economic ruination which the tragic 8 years of Buhari's APC rule has brought into our lives. Therefore, now that the hourglass of Buhari's APC rule is running out and 2023 is beckoning, 2023, the constitutionally apportioned time for power to change in order for us to make progress has come. 2023 is the time for us to firmly shake off the dead hand of the sad past that is still lying heavily on our back. And if we agree that a house divided against itself can hardly stand, then we must now come together and reject all these one-man parties that are led by their idolized, worshipful messiahs who are playing the same TRR politics, which is driven by ideologies such as the regional "I am born to rule" northern suprematism, Eastern "I too know sabi exceptionality," and "it is my turn" Emilokon Western exclusionism. Absolutely, the time has now come for us to unite so that we can begin our destiny-changing restoration journey to sustainable social advancement, economic progress, and the building of a stable nationhood. But this can only happen if in 2023 we vote into power the PDP, the only truly pan-Nigerian political party in Nigeria today. A party whose unifying umbrella is home for all Nigerians. A party which is not centered on any region of the country. A party which is not built around any one leader. And a party whose history is the long, tortuous history of our patriotic fight for the enthronement of democracy in Nigeria. And a party whose mission is principally to ensure the attainment of national prosperity on the basis of building national unity and on the basis of a collegial leadership of the party, PDP, which is today putting forward the inimitable Atiku Abubakar, that consummate bridge builder and great unifier of people, as its presidential candidate for the 2023 election. This is indeed a great offer, and as it was the case in 1979, it is yet another wonderful opportunity that has been provided to all Nigerians to come together as one, to defeat the politics of tribe, region, and religion, and to banish nepotism, separatism, and exclusionism permanently from our body politics and from our national affairs. 2023 is yet another opportunity we cannot afford to misuse. In doing this, we all must remember that when it comes to nation building and national unity, Atiku knows. Therefore, in 2023, let us vote for national unity. Let us vote PDP.